Off with the situation out in South America with Celso, Romero, Davinson Sanchez. They have now all been released from international duty. It was all like up in the air yesterday as Martinez and Buendia were both released. There was no news on Lo Celso and Romero. And we're like, what's going on? Why are these Villa players released and not the Tottenham players? But it was released later that day that the Tottenham players were released as well. And they'll be joining Davinson Sanchez on in Croatia to set their 10 days quarantine before arriving back in the UK, and they will be available for the Chelsea game, it looks like now.
Yeah, which is positive. I think that puts an end to it for now until the next international break, which is not even that far away next month. But I think it's a good thing because there was talk of them staying for the Bolivia match. Even earlier yesterday, at the beginning of the day, there were a lot of quite reliable sources stating that Lo Celso and Romero were going to stay, and Martinez Buendia had been released, and I'm not sure what the difference was there between the two. Maybe they think Romero and Lo Celso are more important. I don't know. It was a very strange thing, but they have been released now. So they got their 10-day quarantine. Well, apparently, the whole situation has really strained relations between the players and the football club in not a positive way, because obviously Aston Villa actually did agree to release Buendia and Martinez on international duty. Spurs actually flat out denied to release them, and they pretty much defied what Spurs wanted and defied their orders basically. And Spurs have been seen to be like vindicated after what's happened out in Brazil for their stance of not allowing the players to go. So apparently they're in for quite a frosty reception on return to Tottenham in 10 days' time. And also, even this compromise of going to Croatia, it has been said that Tottenham also didn't find this ideal either. It was just the best of a bad situation, because, you know, out in Croatia, they're training there for 10 days, and that's going to take additional resources from Tottenham. You know, coaches either going to have to be fly out to Croatia as well, or have to manage those three players separately on Zoom or something to keep their fitness up, and that's just an extra kind of burden on the club leading up to important games after international break that they probably don't need, which is also another reason why they really didn't want the situation to unfold the way it has. But unfortunately, it looks like, look, this is how it has happened. Emi Martinez was speaking. I don't know if you saw these quotes yesterday to TYC Sports. He was saying none of us understood what happened on the pitch. We've never seen this kind of thing. He said it's a shame for South American football, and in explaining why. In explaining what the situation was, he in terms of quarantining in Brazil, he said Aston Villa did not understand the Brazilian regulations and why it happened. It's not something the world expected to see. He said the four of us decided to come for the love of the shirt, even though all the Premier League did not want us to come. We decided to come anyway. After winning the Copa America, the whole team wants to be with the group, not just give the national team a victory. It's something beautiful that we have, and we assume the consequences. So it seems like they knew there would be consequences to their actions, and they just thought, to hell with it, we're going anyway. And I guess after winning Messi that trophy in the summer, maybe they feel like a real strong part of that group, and they're just desperate to be part of it again. Maybe it's different. Maybe they feel in a different way that to like other people being called up for that international duty. They feel like they're part of something like big, like in Messi's journey. I think.
Well, do you think it's anything to do with Messi? Do you think it's anything?
I think so. Yeah.
Do you think it's any different to kind of any other players getting called up to their country? I don't.
I think it is.
I don't see the difference.
I think that's how they feel. They feel it is
a duty to Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
You think so?
Not just to Messi, but to be part of that group.
Think about the teams who've won the, aren't they?
Yeah, but the teams who won the tournament, I think they just love being part of that group, I guess.
I don't know. I just think they're patriotic guys, and they just want to play for their country. And I think there's two ways you can look at it. There's the way of the players thinking like they just want to play for their countries, and that's completely fair enough. I mean, at the end of the day, apart from like personally, they got ties to Tottenham because that's the club they play for, and that's who's paying their wages. Mm-hmm. but their biggest tie is going to be with their country, isn't it? Over their club. It's not like us where we love our club more than our countries. They're not fans of Tottenham Hotspur. They're on the payroll of Tottenham Hotspur and they're players of Tottenham Hotspur, but they're very patriotic guys. They love playing for their country, and it's the pinnacle of their career kind of thing. It's hard to kind of think too harshly of the players. It really is, because they're just want to play with their country, and they're just and it's not only just want to play for their country, but this is Argentina against Brazil, man.
Yeah,
this is no just any standard game. This is like when they're growing up, this is the game that they probably dream of playing in, Argentina Brazil. So it's hard to knock them back too much. And I feel like when they come back to Tottenham, yes, they'll get fined and they'll get their kind of talking to from Tottenham, but it'll be brushed under the carpet under a day or two.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
I have no.
The problem is well, how it affects. It's not just now; it's how it affects things going forward. Because are they going to do the same thing in October, and then November, and then they're going to miss like lots and lots of Premier League games they're going to be missing. And it's like the Spurs are like paying their wages, and they're missing all these games on international duty. That's the biggest worry, I guess, from a Tottenham point of view. I understand their situation and their stance. I completely understand it, and I don't blame them so much for doing what they did and accepting the consequences, because I guess that they've decided, look, we're gonna go, and to hell with the consequences, basically.
Yeah.
And that's their decision, and I respect that, but it's about this situation can't continue. There has to be some sort of compromise from somewhere, because it seems like Tottenham are the only team missing out here.
Yeah,
it seems like Spurs are the only team getting screwed over in the whole Premier League. Everyone else is, refusing.
Villa as well, no?
Yeah, but Villa agreed to it. We didn't even agree to it. You know what I mean? It seems like we're the ones who, like, out of everyone in the Premier League, Spurs are the ones being screwed the most, and it's the most frustrating thing.
It is, but what can you do? We're in the same situation as Villa, just they agreed to it, we didn't agree to it. So, I mean, it's a difficult situation.
Everyone else is, not having any problems with keeping their players at home, but we are.
Who kept their players at home?
Whoever's on, I can't remember. Whoever's on red list countries.
Like who though? I don't understand. I know the Brazilian.
Cavani didn't go.
Cavani didn't go because that was a special situation where the Uruguay coach literally cared about the welfare of the players before anyone else, and that's the way it should be. To be honest, the Uruguay coach absolutely played it spot on. He called up Cavani originally, and then he realised what Cavani would have to go through to play for Uruguay, and he was like, you know what, I'm not going to call up Cavani now. And that is what they should all done. That is what the managers of all the kind of South American countries should have done.
Yeah. The AFA need to be more understanding in this situation, but they weren't at all. They couldn't give a crap about Tottenham. They basically just said, to hell with Spurs. Romero wasn't even in the squad for the first game.
Oh, was he not?
He wasn't even in the squad. So what was the point of taking him?
Well, they wanted him to play in the Brazil game.
Yeah, but why take him and not put him in the squad?
Because they wanted him to play in the Brazil game.
Yeah, but why take him and not put him in the squad, though?
In the first game, they were going to play him in the Brazil game, and the next game they were planning to, even though they said they were going to release them after the Brazil game. But it's like this Argentina World Cup qualifying campaign. This is to qualify for the World Cup. And as you say, Messi, if they are doing it for Messi, could potentially be Messi's last World Cup.
Correct.
And they're not a foregone conclusion to qualify at the moment.
Well, what's the situation?
Like Brazil are way far ahead, but it's, they're there, Argentina, they're there in the conversation, of course, but they're not as clear-cut to qualify as someone like Brazil at the moment. I'll get the qualifying table up at the moment, but from what I was reading, it's not as...
I believe I believe for the qualifying stage, it's different to Europe. Like there's just like one big... There's like two big groups or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many teams qualify from the...
So this is it. I think it's top 5 qualify, I think, or something.
Top 5.
Or top 4. I can't really... Doesn't really say. But either way, Argentina...
Pretty sure it's top 5, yeah.
Argentina are second on 15, and Colombia are 10th on... 5th on 10 points. So there's 5 points between them.
And who's in 6th?
It is. Paraguay are in 6th with 2 points below that. but there's a lot of games to go still. So it's not like a foregone conclusion. They need to get their qualification wrapped up. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying they don't. I don't blame them for that. I'm not saying they should take it easy. Just saying they brought Romero around and they didn't put him in the squad for the first game. It didn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense. But clearly, they're kind of managing his injury, coming back from injury, and they wanted him to play in that Brazil game, which mattered most to them.
So this article from Athletic says the trio will miss Saturday's match at Crystal Palace and most likely next Thursday's Europa Conference League trip to Rennes, but will be in contention for the home games against Chelsea on September 19. When they do return to London, Lo Celso, Romero and Sanchez can expect a frosty reception at Hotspur Way. The fallout is likely to get messier and messier with international breaks in October and November, followed by further breaks in the second half of the season, could be a defining theme of the season. That's the most worrying thing. It says Spurs are extremely frustrated at how the situation played out. They believe they made it clear to the players they didn't want them joining up to the Argentinian squad with or without the Croatian compromise, and that their stance has been vindicated by Sunday's events. For Lo Celso, Sanchez and Romero, this risks damaging relations with their club. That's especially regrettable situation as Romero has only just joined Tottenham and was viewed as the most important summer signing.
I think the beef has got to be with the Argentinian FA, not with the players. I think surely they were putting pressure on these players to travel. When you look at the Brazil squad, like you say, there was no kind of English players in there, were there? Premier League players. So you got to say that the Argentinian FA is culpable. I don't think it's the players. Obviously, the players have their own kind of free will and all that kind of stuff, but I think they were being put pressure on from the other side.
Yeah, and I don't blame them, but they I guess they shouldn't. Yeah, I don't think they should. I do agree they should be fined. Because I think that's just a consequence of your action. You defied the club, you have to be fined. I think that's natural. But I think that's just something that you got to accept when you're defying the club like they have. I don't blame them for defying the club. I just think they have to accept that that's the consequence, and you know, for going against what the club's wishes are and what the club told you to do. You have to accept that, I think, and I don't blame Spurs. Completely I think Spurs also have to find them. That's the nature of the reality. But it's just I think from a fan's point of view, it's the most frustrating situation to witness because, like, you want your best players available to see and you want your best for the club, and it's like. It's just such a fun. Like, we're in such a good way, you know, winning the first 3 games, and all this stuff, all this like negative attention's coming towards Tottenham and some of their players now. And it's just something they don't need at the moment.
It's not, but you know, you win this game this weekend, and it's all forgotten about, isn't it? Really?
Correct. We better win then.
Yeah, we have to win.
All right, and it says. At Tottenham, there are likely to be consequences for Romero and Lo Celso and Sanchez, as well as a potentially soured relation with the players and the club. Spurs are likely to take a dim view of how Argentina's management have handled the situation. There have been regular dialogue between the AFA and Tottenham's hierarchy since the start of the international break, but they were left in the dark until late in the day on Monday about whether Lo Celso and Romero would stay in Argentina. They were also blindsided last week when Scaloni said that he expected all of his squad to be available for the Bolivia game. Spurs have been left regretting the fact that as soon as their players joined up with Argentina, they were left powerless in shaping what Lo Celso and Romero do. Which is probably one of the most frustrating things from Tottenham's point of view. It's probably a difficult situation to manage when, as soon as the players are released internationally, that's it. Like, you can tell them to come back and have all these agreements, but at the end of the day, like, you can't. You are powerless in that situation. That's probably hard for them to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, I think that once the players did go and defied the orders of the club, I mean, wasn't it already planned that they would leave after the Brazil game? Quarantine in Croatia, and that's exactly what's happened.
I reckon the Argentina camp were trying to get them to stay for the Bolivia game. I think that's clearly what happened. That's clearly what happened, but luckily they came to some sort of agreement to let them go beforehand. But I think because earlier in the day yesterday they were reporting that they were going to stay, and then they all of a sudden they're releasing info.
So not that powerless then, because they got them to release them after the Brazil game,
and then they were talking about, they said they confirmed Martinez and Buendia releasing. It's like, okay, something's going on here. They haven't talked about a thing about Lo Celso and Romero, but luckily it's all panned out okay in that sense.
It was interesting what Ali Gold was saying yesterday. There was a quote from him saying that these players were not too keen to go to their international duty. Did you see that?
There was one, he said one of the 3 players, didn't specify who.
I reckon it was Sanchez,
You reckon?
I reckon Sanchez.
Why?
And people are saying Sanchez got booked in the last game to be suspended for the third game.
Someone's saying Romero was suspended for the first game.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. Mane played for his country. Salah didn't, but no Brazilian UK-based player
Salah did
travelled.
play for his country.
He did, but not on the red list.
No.
Dan Kilpatrick has just reported that Spurs have sent a conditioning coach to Croatia to work with the Argentines and Sanchez, who are expected to be back in London on September the 16th in time for the home derby against Chelsea on the 19th of September. So that is positive news, and I think that's probably the right thing to do. It's probably to get a conditioning coach out there.
Definitely.
It's more resources, but you need to make sure these players are, as soon as they come back to London, they're fit, they're match fit.
Yeah.
And that the best way to ensure that is to get someone out there, because I think doing it over Zoom puts too much reliance on players to do their own work, and I think you probably need a coach there to make sure they're doing the right
Jose
things.
Mourinho knows not to do that at Tottenham.
Definitely not. Exactly. We definitely can't rely on these players to do their own fitness work, that's for sure. So, we've sent a fitness coach out to Croatia, so that's positive.
All right. So that's that kind of that news.